New Jersey.
I ask that my unanimous consent that my remarks be completed prior to the vote.
Without objection.
Madam President, I rise today to proudly vote for the confirmation of Jamel Semper to the United States District Court of New Jersey. Mr. Semper, who I personally recommended to President Biden, is exceptionally well qualified for this position. And you don't have to take my word for it. Mr. Semper received strong bipartisan support on the Judiciary Committee. So there's no reason he shouldn't enjoy that same bipartisan support here on the Senate floor. For more than 15 years, Mr. Semper has tirelessly sought justice for the residents who call New Jersey home. Indeed, it is the central theme that runs throughout Mr. Semper's career, an unwavering commitment to the rule of law and to the communities the law is meant to protect. He began his career as an assistant prosecutor in Union County, handling a wide range of cases across the appellate, juvenile, and adult trial units. Then in Essex County, he went after carjackers and murderers, including the first prosecution of a homicide under New Jersey's domestic terrorism statute. In 2018, he was sworn in as an assistant United States attorney in Newark, climbing the ladder and ultimately serving as chief of both the violent crime and organized crime units. Today, he is the deputy chief of the criminal division, a role in which he is responsible for supervising all phases of criminal investigation and prosecution. In each of these positions, Mr. Semper has demonstrated unflinching fidelity to the rule of law. Time and time again, Mr. Semper has kept New Jerseyans safe while also building bridges between residents and those who have sworn an oath to protect them. This community-focused approach to law enforcement has earned Mr. Semper plaudits from individuals and organizations representing diverse interests, especially those who advocate for communities of color in the Garden State. Consider the words of Reverend Ron Slaughter, the pastor of St. James AME in Newark. He said, "Semper has touched all the bases, stayed connected to the community, remained patient. This is a great day for New Jersey, America, our judiciary, and my community." Truer words haven't been spoken. Mr. Semper's confirmation today not only furthers our collective goal of addressing judicial vacancies across our country, it also advances our efforts to diversify the federal branch. It brings us one step closer towards ensuring that our most hallowed institutions reflect the rich tapestry of America. For nearly 18 years, I've always taken my constitutional duty to provide advice and consent on judicial nominees seriously. It is one of the most solemn obligations as United States senators that we have. And it is one of the most consequential impacts we have on our democracy as senators, confirming judges who interpret and shape the law and our Constitution for decades to come. So I'm a firm believer that our independent judiciary must reflect the very best of America's values and its citizens, which is why I can honestly say that Jamel Semper's relentless commitment to public service, combined with his temperament and the trust he has built with New Jerseyans, all of it is exactly what we look for in a federal judge. He will no doubt be an asset to New Jersey's federal bench, and I encourage all my colleagues to support Jamel Semper to be in his rightful place on the District Court of New Jersey. Now, Madam President, before I yield the floor, I'd like to take a moment to forcefully oppose ongoing efforts to attach harmful immigration proposals to the national security supplemental package we are considering. It is the height of absurdity to claim that the price for assisting our international allies is gutting our asylum and humanitarian parole laws. Democrats should not and cannot stand idly by while asylum seekers and immigrant families are imperiled by a handful of senators operating in total darkness without any meaningful feedback from a broader coalition of Hispanic, Black, and Asian legislators, advocates, and others who should be helping shape these negotiations. For all those who care about the future of immigrants in this country, indeed our very identity as a beacon of freedom and hope for those seeking a better life, now is the time to make your voice heard. Now is the time to make it clear that we will not allow our asylum and humanitarian parole laws to be gutted while undocumented immigrants, including dreamers, TPS recipients, farm workers, and essential workers are forced to stay in the shadows. Now is the time to make it clear that we will not stand by as some try to fundamentally change our immigration system without any transparent, deliberative process. This is the time to make it clear that we should not be codifying asylum and transit bans into law, failed policies that will do nothing to mitigate the flow of migration to the United States. Moreover, now is the time for my Democratic colleagues in both the Senate and the House to meet the moment. It's a clarion call. We must find the moral courage to do what is right. Otherwise, what are we doing here? How are we supposed to face our constituents and immigrant families across the nation? Some are doing the most difficult jobs in our country in order to help us argue that we are the party that stands with them. We cannot capitulate to the extremes in the Republican Party that is more interested in demonizing and hurting immigrants than working together in good faith to fix our immigration system. We must reject the notion that playing our role as a defender of freedom and democracy around the world comes at the cost of our own identity as a nation of immigrants. We are the United States of America. Let's ultimately start acting like that. And with that, Madam President, I yield the floor.
All time has expired. The question's on the nomination. Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal, Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman, Mr. Braun, Mrs. Britt, Mr. Brown, Mr. Budd, Ms. Butler,